This is Dalia from Borderless-Jobs, and we've been getting so many questions from some of our subscribers that I thought that today we would discuss one of the interesting questions that we received a few days ago from somebody called Nikiru. Sorry if I'm pronouncing the name incorrectly. And Nikiru asked us a really interesting question that I wanted just to delve into today. I'll give you a little bit of information and then we'll carry on with this in another podcast that we'll do in a few more days from now. So the question that Nikiru has asked us was as follows. Hi support team, Borderless-Jobs. I would like to know if you offer self-sponsorship skilled worker visa. So that's really interesting. And this is actually something that the Home Office have actually accepted. So I kind of just wanted to delve into what exactly is the self-sponsorship skilled worker and how is that actually possible. So if you can imagine, the skilled worker has to be sponsored by a UK company. So everybody who's coming onto our platform at Borderless-Jobs are looking for UK companies, genuine UK companies that are looking for workers. And the question that you would be asking is, well, if I were to want to perhaps set up my own company and I would have a genuine need in my own UK entity, could that entity effectively sponsor me directly? And the answer is yes. So there is actually a method to apply for self-sponsorship, meaning that your actual own entity has sponsored itself, as well as perhaps others in the future. So let's just run through exactly what that means and how we could help you perhaps understand a little bit more information about how to do that. So essentially, the authorities would want to see that you have an entity in the UK, and the only entity that they would accept would usually be a limited company, means that there is liability there behind that, and it's registered on Companies House. You can have other types of entities such as limited partnerships, but the idea is that it's not a sole practitioner. So you would register a company. Now, in the UK, to register a company, there are different ways of registering it. You could use a third party, you can use an accountant, you can go ahead directly on Companies House and register your own company. And the way that you would register the company obviously has different tax implications. So registering the company is stage one, and obviously we would always advise you to work directly with a UK licensed tax advisor or an accountant to help you with that. If you need any assistance, then just shoot us a line there below and we would help you to connect to a couple of different accountancy firms around the country. So once you've registered your company, you have to think about who would be the director of that company. And one of the questions that the Home Office has is the director somebody who is actually living as settled in the UK? And if so, are they actually a UK resident or a UK citizen? The idea is that, do they have the right the right to actually take on that responsibility, that legal mandatory responsibility of actually bringing over a sponsored migrant from abroad. And the Home Office would actually really want to check into that credit score, and they would want to see who is that person. So some of those questions are, for example, have they ever been bankrupt before? Have they ever had any criminal offences in the past? They would want the director who is taking the position of the director of the company here, in essence, to be somebody with a clean background. And you would want that applicant to actually be registered as the assessing officer for the sponsored license, meaning they would be the person specifically who would take the final decisions and also take upon themselves that responsibility. So part of having sponsorship actually does mean that you would have to have essentially a UK resident who would be a director, And if they're not a director, then they definitely need to be somebody who is actually an employed directly by that UK company. So effectively, you could also have a company that you own yourself, but you would hire a senior executive of the company to be your assessing officer. And once you've got your assessing officer in place, then that means you could just go through the list of the documents that you would need to file for the sponsor license. And if you want, we'll put a link in at the bottom there to show you what type of documents you would need for the sponsor license. Talking about one of the things that's mandatory for the authorities, they would want to see an active bank account, and that would have to be a UK registered bank account. The authorities, the Home Office, have a specific list of those bank accounts that they authorize. There are several. If you're asking about online bank accounts, again, slip in the questions below. We'll let you know what companies, what bank accounts and banks in the UK are both authorized by the Home Office and also online. Sometimes they can be very, very helpful, but usually if you're going to be setting up a UK company, you would want to have a competitive UK bank with a local branch that you could actually talk to. And then there are several other documents, obviously, that the authorities would want, meaning that they would want to see that you're registered with the HMRC. They would want to see that you have your PAYE registered, meaning that you can pay for your employees and their payroll would go out straight away, and that's all in place. Usually they would want to see that you have an actual office, a physical office, so that if a Home Office immigration officer would want to come and knock on your door one day and have a check and see you're actually there. But, you know, there are certain exceptions there in regards to hybrid or home offices, but they would definitely want to see that you have a specific location where your documents are safe in keeping, and any time in the future if an officer wants to come around and see where are your employees, where they're located, or who is the assessing officer in charge, and whether he has everything, that they know that exact address. So there is a list of certain documents that you would need to apply for your sponsor license, which again, I'm just going into them, is absolutely available to anybody, and you can absolutely create your own office, because that's definitely what you actually need in order to have an active, genuine business in the UK. So once you have all of these and you upload them to the Government Home Office, and you can apply for your sponsor license, you pay your £536. I'm assuming you're a small company under less than 50 people at this time. Hopefully you'll grow. And your government fees, £536 will be the government fees. There is the option of paying the priority, which means that instead of taking around 10 weeks, the authorities would perhaps look at your application faster, within even up to 2 weeks. And we've had some real successful cases recently where even in 5 days we've been approved the licenses, which is an additional £500. Now, the government basically say, we're not going to accept anybody and everyone that pays the £500 priority. So there is a kind of waiting list. You have to get accepted, but it's quite simple, and you can apply per day. So if on day 1 you don't accept it, you can go to day 2 or day 3. And that's definitely worthwhile if you just want to get in motion the application. Part of the application in advance is actually saying, have you already located the person that you're interested in bringing over to the UK? And at this point, it's an interesting question. Are you going to actually say, well, actually, I'm the CEO and the founder of that business, and I already want to bring myself over? And we would definitely probably recommend that you are very open with these issues and you put a good explanation of why you are definitely a genuine position in the company, a genuine occupation in the company, and how this company is going to move forward. But going back to that original question, can I self-sponsorship? So there's a lot of work involved. At Borderless-Jobs, we've had years of experience helping numerous companies do this. So we'll absolutely be able to hold your hand on this, and also happily put you in touch with the right partners to help you, as I mentioned before, whether it will be the insurance advisors or whether it would be the accountants that could help you with the HMRC and the incorporation. So getting back to the point, self-sponsorship, absolutely possible and absolutely something that we could help you with through Borderless-Jobs. Put us a line through, send us an email on contact@borderless-jobs.com and we'll be happy to take it from there. In a few days, we'll have another podcast and we'll be discussing other ways, perhaps, of self-sponsoring yourself, maybe going through the Innovator Startup Visa or even the Global Talent. And then there's one last one, which is very interesting, where we're going to spend quite a lot of time discussing this, which is the Global Expansion Visa. And happily, we'll go into that in detail. Any questions about those, Global Talent, Global Expansion or Innovator Startup, just stick them right there in the bottom and we will get to all of your really interesting questions in the next few days. Have a great day, guys, and I hope this was interesting for you. Bye.